Hi, I'm Stan Janowiak, one of the owners of Sawmill Brewing Company, and I want to walk you through the brewing process in a very abbreviated fashion. This to my right is the mash and lauter tun. That's where we dump in anywhere from 300 to 800 pounds of grain, depending on which beer we're making. And this is where the starch is separated from the cracked grain, otherwise it's known as malt. The malting process is essentially, there are businesses that germinate the seeds of the grain, and then right at the very early stages of germination, they dry it out and roast it, which stops the germination. Then they crack it, and we put it in here along with some warm water, 150, 60 degrees, something like that. It gets stirred up for about an hour and a half, and during that process, the water is pulling the starch, i.e. sugar, out of the grain. After it comes out of here, it swirls around in here where you can taste it, and it actually is a pretty sweet, I guess we call it sap or syrup, because it tastes very sweet. And then it gets transferred into the boil kettle, which is this baby right here, where it boils anywhere from 50 to 75 minutes, depending again on what kind of beer you're making. This is the first place where you'd add hops and some other maybe clarifying agents that go in during this stage right here. After it boils, then it goes down and through this cooling plate chiller right here. And then it goes straight down through hoses into those pipes over in the corner there where it gets pumped into the basement. Which is where the fermentation takes place. We can go visit that in a moment. Okay, we've moved into the basement. This part of the process we call is the fermentation room. These two kettles right here are fermentation kettles or fermentation vats, and we pump the wort from upstairs down into these.
And what is wort again?
Wort? Yeah, wort is the word for beer before it's been fermented. It's just the liquid with all the starch in it and some of the hops. During this process, it's strictly temperature controlled, so because different yeasts work at different temperatures, and this is where you add the yeast. Is when it comes into here, you add the yeast. In brewers' terms, you pitch it, I guess, because you throw it in there. But anyway, and it's strictly temperature controlled, and you see right here, this is our Kolsch style beer that's continuing to bubble as we're waiting patiently for it to complete its work, and that is yeast converting the sugar into alcohol and carbon dioxide. We don't really care about the carbon dioxide, we don't want it, that much of it, so we let that bubble off. And then we transfer it from here into this tank, which is called the bright tank. The bright tank has a measuring tube on it. You can see through it, and you can measure how many barrels of beer you've produced, and that's what you report to the federal and state government, and your brewer's taxes are based on that. And then also the beer is carbonated to strict levels in this container as well. From there, I get the pleasure of kegging with this machine right here. If you take a look at it, it's kind of a complicated piece of equipment. Right now I'm using it to clean the kegs, not fill the kegs. So we're getting ready to keg our next batch.
And how long does the process take, Mr. Janowiak, from start to finish?
Well, we found that, anywhere from a week and a half to 3-4 weeks. It just depends on how active the yeast is, what temperature you're fermenting at. That will dictate the activity of the yeast. And then some beers need a lot longer time to carbonate than others. For example, stout beer is usually served at a lower level of carbonation, so it carbonated very quickly, whereas Kolsch style or some ales, you're gonna carbonate them to a higher level, which takes a longer period of time.